So I've quit testosterone, and this is not a joke. I would have been 8 years on T this coming November, but at some point earlier this year I decided to just stop taking it. I'm also post-op lower surgery and more or less at the end of my transition, but no, I'm not detransitioning. So I'm going to tell you why I stopped taking testosterone, then I'm going to answer some common questions I get about that, and then I'm going to talk about what changes I've noticed so far since I've come off it. So why I've stopped taking T. Firstly, and this is not in order, but first of all, I got really bad at remembering to actually take it, whether I was on gel or injections. At first I was on gel and I remembered all the time because it was a really exciting thing to be starting testosterone. Then with that I ended up hardly ever putting it on, and I switched to Nebido because I didn't want to self-inject. So I was getting that by a nurse every 12 weeks, but then in the end that ended up too hard to remember as well because I had to remember to get the prescription, go and pick it up, had to make the appointment at the right time, but I couldn't make the appointment at my last injection because that was too early, so like 10 weeks after that I then had to remember to make the appointment for 2 weeks after that, and yeah, I ended up having it at the wrong time all the time, and forgetting or having it at the wrong time just messes up your levels and it's not very healthy, so it works out better to just not be on it at all. Another reason is just that I'd rather not be on it forever or until I'm very old. All it's doing for me at this point is receding my hairline very slowly. It's not too bad, but I mean there's no point me keep taking it if that's pretty much all it's doing. I was probably never going to be some big muscular man, and that's not my ideal physique anyway, and it was slowly progressing my beard, but I'm pretty happy with how it is at this point. So if my body can naturally produce its own hormones, I'd rather just let it do its natural thing. Which leads me to my next question, which is, didn't you get a hysterectomy? And yes, I did get a hysto. I had my uterus, cervix and fallopian tubes removed, but I actually did keep both ovaries. So I'm going to have a blood test soon, once my levels from the Nebido have dropped down, because Nebido is slow releasing anyway, to check to see if my body is still producing enough estrogen for my hormone levels to be healthy. If they're not, and the doctor says that I have to be on some kind of HRT, I'm not gonna take estrogen. I draw the line there, so yeah, if I do have to be on some form of HRT, I'll go back on testosterone, and I have checked with my doctor that if I have to or want to go back on T, I don't have to go through the whole gender clinic and that whole process again. I can just go back on when I want. So to be clear, this whole thing is under the guidance of a doctor, and I am having my levels checked. I just haven't yet because my T level would still be high from the Nebido anyway. But yeah, some people say once you go on HRT, it will ruin your ovaries, you won't ever produce hormones again, you will have atrophy and all these things, and those are things that can happen, but it's not a definite. So, you know, if it has happened, I'll go back on T, but it's worth checking to see if my ovaries are still healthy and will produce enough estrogen for me. Another question will be, how did you have phalloplasty but keep your ovaries? Phalloplasty created the penis using skin from my thigh and literally had absolutely nothing to do with my ovaries at any point. Other questions are, do you regret taking T? And absolutely not. I'm very happy with how I look and sound now, and yeah, I haven't ever regretted it for a single second, and I'm not now. What will change back, and will it affect your facial hair? So my whole beard is not just going to fall out. It will stop progressing and it might grow in like a little bit thinner or patchier, but these hair follicles are already active. Like trans women, when they go on estrogen, if they have like a full beard and don't want one, they have to get laser hair removal or something to remove it. Estrogen doesn't make your hair follicles stop growing hair, it doesn't make it all fall out. And in theory, muscle mass and body fat redistribution, those will go back to before, but to be honest, both of those I never saw much of a change with. I feel like my body fat is still in a fairly feminine pattern. Sometimes transphobes then comment, hormones will never change your body fat. Yeah, it does for a lot of people, but for me it didn't, and that's, you know, whatever, I've come to terms with that. And I'd never noticed being able to get stronger or build muscle any easier on T, and to be honest I don't like the look of big muscles. My ideal physique is more of a twink physique anyway, so yeah, I'm not bothered about that. And my voice won't undrop. I know some people will say that my voice never dropped, but it definitely did change. I don't care how you think it sounds now, but yeah, it definitely dropped and it won't undrop. Another question is, are you medically detransitioning? And I don't really see it that way. I guess hormonally I am, but yeah, my transition was a lot more than just hormones. I'm not having my surgeries reversed, but if you want to see it as medically detransitioning, then that's fine. I guess in a sense I am, but yeah, I'm not really looking at it like that. So changes so far since I've come off T. My beard, it was still progressing a bit, and the like new hairs that are just barely starting to come in and fill in there, they have kind of disappeared and it's kind of a bit patchier again. But yeah, like I said, these hairs are very solidly there and not going to fall out. My hairline I haven't noticed changing anymore, but it wasn't ever like drastically falling out really fast. It just slowly like changed to a more masculine pattern, and now it's just staying the same. Yeah, it doesn't bother me, but yeah, I like having a bit more of a masculine hairline. I just didn't want it to all fall out, and if I can stop that, I might as well. I do feel a bit weaker in terms of like lifting things up, things like that, but I have also been having major surgeries and haven't been able to exercise much, especially my upper body, so yeah, that's probably because of that. One thing I will make another video about, because this is already getting quite long, and I have a lot to say, but one thing that really surprised me is that my sexuality has changed. I now prefer men, which actually was how I felt before I started transitioning, and I didn't initially put it down to this. I was very confused about it, and I thought maybe it's because I was coming to the end of my lower surgeries, and yeah, I thought maybe it was to do with that. I didn't even think about the fact that I'd come off HRT, but thinking about it now, I think it probably does have something to do with that. Yeah, this really caught me off guard and absolutely was not something that was on my radar, but yeah, we will talk about that in another video. Yeah, that's about all I have to say. That's why I'm coming off T, and yeah, being monitored by a doctor. I'll keep you updated with how that goes. If you have any more questions about it, let me know. Yeah, I'll continue to document things, and see you in the next video.